What's up, y'all? We're back with another video, and this is Pickside again. Follow them, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Jalen Hurts, a top 5 quarterback. We all know he's not. He's really good. He's not top 5 though. Yeah.
Champions. And now I feel like this is the question we pose after any team wins the championship. Can they go back to back? Is it realistic they could make this point again and reach the mountaintop again? What do you think, Riv?
I think that's an easy yes. I think at minimum we'll make the NFC Championship game. I think what we've seen from this team, here's the thing, and I'm gonna sound real dangerous. I don't give a fuck. I'll be honest. We went to the championship in 2022. 2023 we started the season 10-0, 11-0, something like that, or
10-1.
Yeah, it was something like that where we were winning some close games. We were winning. Yeah, we were like offensively. You know, we had some moments. Our coordinators were pretty bad. We get new coordinators. I think Vic Fangio stays. I think our defense is going to stay intact for the most part. I think we'll lose Slay. We'll lose either Milton or Sweat. So I would like to keep Sweat.
You think Bond stays?
Is Slay gonna retire or no?
I think he made a post saying this, like the NFC Championship game was like his last game. I just don't think we'll pay him the money. I think Bond stays. That's their number one priority.
Because right now I know the major loss right now is Kellen Moore. He's gonna be the Saints head coach.
Is it a major loss?
I think
you're cooking
based on what you had last year.
Prior,
Brian Johnson and Kellen Moore. This is another year where Nick Sirianni has to get the OC hire right.
Fucking Jalen Hurts and getting his coaches a job is fucked.
I think fourth new OC.
Yeah. I think Zach Bond. They talked about it. He's the number one priority this offseason. I think
Milton,
he should.
I won't be surprised if a team overpays for Bond.
I think we'll overpay for Bond.
I.e. the Broncos. We're desperate at linebacker. I won't be surprised if we give him the most money a linebacker's making in the league.
I think it's going to be hard to keep all three of those guys. I think one of them is doable. You got to think about it. Milton Williams, I mean, for as good as Jalen Carter was, Milton Williams was just as good.
Elite, bro.
And he took over games. Like, there were so many moments where he was just dominating. He dominated the Super Bowl.
Player in the Super Bowl.
No,
and then Josh Sweat also dominated. I think Milton can get upwards of 20 to 25 million per
That's
year.
the thing. Like, I think our team is very... We think our players are great, but they're great.
The Eagles are done. The Eagles might go back to championship, maybe. But my Ravens are winning it all this year. I'm tired of this shit. I told myself I was gonna say nothing about it.
Within each other, like Sweat's great, Milton's great, Jalen Carter's great. They're on the same defensive line.
Yeah, it's stupid.
We have so much depth. We have guys that play well. What does Milton look like if a team like
the Chargers,
Oakland, or the Raiders throw him a bag, or the Chargers throw him a bag? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we'll be able to fill those needs. So I think that's why Zach Bond. That's why I think we'll keep him. Because you can't just replace that. Like, you cannot just replace what he did. I think we can replace defensive linemen. We've been a pretty good defensive lineman team for the past 3, 4, 5 years. And then I think we'll ace the draft, which has always been a thing with Howie for the most part. And then offensively, everybody's getting back, and everybody's in their prime. Saquon's in his prime. Smitty is walking to his prime.
I love
A.J.
Smitty.
Brown's in his prime. Jalen Hurts is 26. Dallas is in his prime. The offensive line, probably Lane Johnson might take a step because he's the guy of age, but Jordan's young. Cam Jurgensen's young. Landon Dickerson is young. This team, and then we pump out. We have the best offensive lineman coach in football.
It's stupid.
So it's like we're keeping Vic Fangio. We're keeping Nick. If we get the offensive coordinator right, even if we get an average guy, we've shown we can still be great. Yeah, we can still be great. This team has all the tools and the makings of being a repeat team. It's really just about what these other teams do. I think defensively we'll be one of the best defenses in the world. It's just shit. Not many teams have that GM that can, ace a off season. You gotta look at Detroit. I do look at Detroit as a dangerous team. Aiden comes back.
What about Ravens?
Defense will be a lot more healthier coming up to this year. Offensively, we didn't see an offense like that, so we didn't.
My Ravens should be dangerous
with them. But I'm looking at a team like Green Bay. Unless they make a splash at getting a guy like Myles Garrett or getting a high-end wide receiver, I'm good off them. Like, I think we can still beat them. I'm looking at a team at Washington. I think they're still a year away from being that legit team. Depending on what they do in the offseason, they break out and get a guy like that. And I think we're in play for guys like Myles. We're in play for guys like Michael Parsons. We're in play for guys like
They get Myles Garrett,
They're
bro.
not trading Michael Parsons.
Abdul Carter.
Listen, we have so much like
Abdul Carter's been yapping. That's why it's in his ear.
Don't listen. Don't.
I
sleep.
understand.
Don't sleep. But listen,
I
for
think
Myles
delusional
Garrett,
about it.
Top 3 lock.
Myles Garrett is the guy.
Myles Garrett's possible.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
reasonable.
That's attainable.
It's possible. We can get.
Abdul
we get
Carter,
him.
shut it down.
Micah's not happy.
I don't think it'll. I don't think Myles Garrett will happen just because the Eagles' strategy is drafting and develop and having an abundance of draft picks, so you have more darts to throw it on the board. And I feel like with the Eagles, I mean, this was the most talented roster all year long. They're stacked from top to bottom. They have, I mean, it's an amazing team. It's one of the, I think, like after winning the Super Bowl, we can get into the conversation of where this roster ranks in terms of just pure construction.
This is a good roster.
One of the best rosters in
100%
the last decade. Like, it's really that talented from top to bottom. And Milton Williams, I do think that, it helps playing next to Jalen Carter. I think he's a fantastic player on his own, and he's going to go to another team and probably make a big impact. Josh Sweat was really good this year. He took a big leap as well. But the defensive line has some replacements, right? Ajomo is a serviceable replacement. Jalix Hunt had a lot of plays where he made impact plays.
Fuck him, I need my fault, y'all.
And you look at the
Huff, no?
Bryce Huff, no.
He can go.
Maybe next year. N'Kobe Dean had a down year.
Scratch?
Him and Bradbury was on the sideline eating chips and just enjoying the
my
Super
goodness,
Bowl.
man.
Sounds awesome.
No, it sounds amazing.
But you look at the Eagles; they have 2 second-round picks. They have the first rounder and they have a third rounder. You already know the Eagles. Their first pick in the draft, if they lose Milton Williams or Josh Sweat, is going to be defensive lineman or edge. And this is one of those draft classes that it is on a position where there's going to be a ton of talented players at that position. And this isn't one of those drafts where there's blue chip prospects at the top. This is one of those drafts where it's better to have more picks towards the back half because the depth of this draft is really where it shines. So they'll be able to draft an edge, an interior defensive lineman. They'll be able to draft maybe another guard to, cheer up their offensive line even better. Howard Roseman is great at drafting. So this is really just one of the most talented teams in football right now. And you have Quinyon and Cooper getting another year of improvement.
Yeah, rookie deals.
Yeah, and they're all pro level players.
Getting better.
Still on
Nolan
a rookie
Smith,
deal.
N'Kobe
Still
Dean.
rookie deals.
Yeah, and that's why I think you have
Howie Roseman.
Yeah,
Goodness.
You have Jalen Carter. You have Nolan Smith. Those are the 2 guys that you build around on the defensive line for the foreseeable future. You add some depth pieces. I think the smartest thing to do is pay Zach Bond, not just because he's the best defensive player amongst the people I named, but because a linebacker is a position that it costs less to pay than defensive line. Fred Warner is the highest paid linebacker. He's making $19 million per year. And as good of a season as Zach Bond had this year,
He's not.
I should be making that much.
I don't think he's instantly going to command $19 million. They could reasonably get him maybe at $12 to $15 million per year.
No, all pro, won a Super Bowl.
15.
He might
get 14.
He
15.
might be close to Fred. I don't think you'll get Fred money, but he'll get close.
Yeah, that's why I could see $15 million, but that's
if he's making 19.
Yeah.
Right.
15. I can see 15.
I mean, 1 year of production at that position.
Pro.
But it's 1 year.
First team all pro.
First 2 years.
Yeah, but I don't think any other team is going to be like, okay, off of 1 year of production, we're going to pay you $19
The Broncos, I'm telling you, would overpay. We would
I
overpay.
I don't think he'd go there.
We're building something cute.
Yeah.
Let's get serious real quick.
Fuck the Broncos, bro. Fuck the Broncos. Someone's over build something cute. Y'all ain't shit. Y'all got Bo Nix as y'all starting quarterback.
Of course, but if
it takes $20 million to pay Zach Bond, I'm like, do you want to pay Zach Bond? That's great. $20 million, like
the Eagles have about 24, 25
kind of like
million
our
cap
only
space.
need on defense.
Yeah,
But I think, how do we get off Bryce Huff's contract?
It's probably have to. I mean, I don't think he got a ton of guaranteed money, if I remember correctly, because he only got like $50 million, so probably like half of his guaranteed.
The Eagles have 2 second-round picks. One of the second-round picks is from the Chris Olave trade they made with the Saints, and the Saints being a bad team this year, that's going to be a pretty high second-round pick. So they're going to be able to get a player in the back half of the first round and a player closer to the top of the second round. They have a lot of avenues
thought the Saints
to
gonna go
keep
all the
on
way.
improving this football team. And
We're so stupid.
really, to me, it's not about the Eagles. It's more so about the teams around them. What are they going to do to get better, to compete with them?
Wait, so the Eagles traded back in that draft?
You're not getting off of Bryce Huff.
Yeah, Chris Olave, the Saints traded up for Chris Olave.
And then the Eagles traded away that first-round pick for A.J. Brown.
Probably. He needs to lock in.
I believe so, yeah.
Interesting.
Waste of space.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We could look. I could look at the. You guys could go.
Yeah,
but I could look at the
Eagles roster is just so loaded with not just talent but young talent. Like when you look at the guys on this team that are over 30 who like actually were contributing to this team, like the one that really sticks out is Lane Johnson, who's 34 years old, and we've seen tackles be able to play into their 30s, into their late 30s at times.
Okay, so this trade is pretty crazy. The Saints from this Eagles-Saints trade got Chris Olave, Trevor Penning, and Jordan Jackson. The Eagles got A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, and a 2024 second-round pick.
Christ. He won. What's crazy is, I'm not trying to take anything away from Howie because I think he's the best GM in the sport, but so many of his picks are just like top consensus. Like the number 1 or 2 guy on the board that all of these other GMs think that they know so much more than everybody else, and they reach like 30 picks that consensus think it's otherwise. It's just like, no, like take Jalen Carter, take Nolan Smith, take all the fucking Georgia Bulldogs you can.
The Jalen Carter one,
it fell into their lap.
It did. But Nolan Smith, that was an amazing pick.
That shot 30.
That took a while though, because last year he was getting shit on.
You're right. Yeah, Jalen Carter in that draft was the best defensive player of the draft. He was a top 30 talent.
All the Georgia guys last year were getting shit.
And when he got drafted at 9 or wherever it was, we're like, oh, the Eagles just won the draft again. But the talent is crazy. The young talent is crazy. We were just listening off all of these guys on rookie contracts, right? Like Quinyon Cooper, Carter. I mean, it's crazy the roster that Howie's been able to build. And of course, like he brings in some pieces in free agency and in through trade like A.J. Brown. But I mean, so many of these guys just, if you look at the year-over-year turnover, adding Vic Fangio was huge. But I mean, you're talking about 2 rookies in the secondary that typically secondary players, especially cornerback, it's a hard position to year 1 come in and be able to produce right away. Zach Bond had been a special.
Put some respect on Nate, bro. Nate Wiggins a dog. He should have been a Pro Bowler for real, or defense, at least a nominee for Defensive Rookie of the Year. If you want to break it down, for real. Jerry Verse probably should have still got it, but again, he should have been a nominee. But that's what I meant. I didn't mean Pro Bowler, but he should have been a nominee for Defensive Rookie of the Year. But it's okay.
Special teams guy for the majority of his career. He signs like a league minimum contract. And then Milt Williams, who's a 3rd-round pick in 2021, who's on a contract year, is betting on himself and has this breakout year. And now he's probably going to get $20 million annually on the open market. So all of the pieces that they've had, the only thing that's stopping them, in my opinion, are 2 things. One is just injuries, right? Like we saw this past year with the 49ers. 2 years ago, one of the best defenses in football. A year later, they just have a plethora of injuries, and now all of a sudden they can't stop anybody. And then just really nailing the offensive coordinator. I think what we have seen over these last 3 years is if you get a top upper echelon offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts could be the MVP. If you get a bottom tier offensive coordinator, you'll make the playoffs. You won't make a Super Bowl, but you'll make the playoffs. If you get an average offensive coordinator, you can win the Super Bowl. Of course, the defense this year was so much better than last year in the last couple of seasons, but just having league average at coordinator is going to be good enough. And, I mean, the one step behind the Eagles are just that so many coordinators got hired already, right? All the head coaches.
What the hell was that?
Just got hired, so they brought in their staff. So
no one's answering, is he top 5? No. Am I missing something? He's not top 5. That's all I really had to hear.